So in today's video, I'll be talking about why you should be investing in precious metals, and more importantly, how you can invest in precious metals inside of your retirement portfolio, just like I did. I went through this process and feel protected at night. I sleep better at night knowing that I've got some things that are offsetting market turbulence and don't rely so much on the leadership. They're actually global currencies, gold, silver, palladium, what have you. I hold gold and silver personally. They protect you against what could happen if the dollar collapses, inflation. If you look back over time, when the economy sinks, precious metals goes up, which is why people recommend that inside of your portfolio, which again, I know that a lot of this might seem new to people. When you invest in precious metals inside of your retirement, you have to set up what is called a self-directed IRA. Now, the self-directed IRA, mine's with Equity Trust Institutional. You get to choose when you find a company, and I'll talk more about that later in this video. That company acts as your custodian and they handle your transactions, keeping it at arm's length from you so it's legal to invest inside of your retirement. Now, again, I did this because the rest of my portfolio is invested in a couple businesses, some real estate, and then the majority of it is in equities, mutual funds, stocks, what have you. Now, if those all collapse and I want to get in line to retire and they don't recover, we're hurting. Now, if the economy goes down, prices of precious metals usually stay stable or they go up along with that curve. So they're a big hedge against inflation. They've been a store value asset for a very long time, and it's something that trades counterintuitive to the market. Market tumbles, silver and gold prices go up. You can look at it, you can look at the numbers, it's all tracked over history. If you bought ahead of 2008 and the recession, you probably saw your gold double or even triple depending on when you exactly got in and when you got out. You can play with those numbers. 2008 to 2015 were very, very good years. Now, this is why if you look around, people are saying that you should have a percentage of your retirement portfolio and your assets in precious metals. Now, what is that exact percentage? Now, it depends how worried you are. If you're super worried, you might want to go higher than these numbers I'm about to give you. If you feel like things are going to go okay, you just want to put a little bit out there, take little chips off the table and put it in precious metals just in case everything else goes kaput. Those numbers range between 5 and 20%, depending on who you talk to. We'll take $1 million retirement portfolio as a nice even number. If you've got $1 million in your portfolio, 50,000 up to 200,000 is what's recommended to, again, invest in precious metals. Because if you've got $1 million and it goes down by 50%, you're sitting on $500,000. Now, if you've got $1 million and you've got 20% in precious metals and that 50% goes down, so you're taking your $500,000 down to $250,000 and the other 20% back up. So let's stick with that same number and let's just say that you have 20% in precious metals. Well, let's say the precious metals doubles. How does that affect your portfolio when everything else is going down? It looks very good, right? So it's a stabilizer. You need a balanced portfolio. You need to diversify your assets no matter how you can. If everything's in equities, especially on one sector, you're in trouble. Again, 5 to 20% is the range. Now, if you think we're in big trouble, like a lot of people think we are, we've got an election coming up, you might want to go higher than that. But 5 to 20% is the number you're going to hear, and you can do the research online. A lot of people will corroborate what I just told you there. For myself, I went about 17% at the time. Now I'm going to keep adding in as I keep adding more money to my retirement portfolio, but that's the number that I used. Now let's talk about how you can get a precious metals IRA. The first thing you want to do is get a company that you feel comfortable with. Again, I've got some links below that you can check out and you can survey them for yourselves and see which one has the best fit. For me, personally, I work with Goldco. For me, their buyback program, their fee structure, their reputation, the way they had a no-hassle consultation when I called them, and we did this over a couple phone calls, and the way they assisted me in selecting what I wanted to invest in was just second to none. There was no pressure. They were consultative. They went over all the options, including storage. To me, that was the number one thing that I looked for when I was looking for a company to work with. Now, number two is choose a custodian. And again, depending on who you work with for precious metals, they can recommend you a custodian. They've got many relationships out there that you can select from. I had Equity Trust already in mind because I had a self-directed IRA through my company. That's just the way I chose to do it many years ago when I wanted to buy a building. And I told my financial advisor I wanted to break off the funds that he was managing into a self-directed. So I ended up getting into the project with the self-directed IRA. That's just the way you have to do it. Now, there's other companies you can use. Equity Trust is renowned. They're very good. There's some other ones out there. But again, your precious metals company that you buy from will recommend you several options out there, and you can pick whatever one you're most comfortable with. Lastly, you get to decide what you want to buy. That's the fun part. They go over all the options, whether you want bullion, coins, whatever it is, gold, silver, a mix. I went with half and half, gold, silver. So everything that I picked out was discussed on the phone. We had the price in mind that day. I invested, signed the DocuSign. funded the account, and everything was purchased. Now from there, you choose a depository, right? We're talking about your IRA. You cannot store those in your home. That would be illegal. If you're just buying metals from a dealer and you want to store them in your home or in a safe, that's totally fine. But when you're buying for your IRA, they have to be arm's length, right? There are some things like home storage IRA, that'll be in another video. I'll go into more elaborate discussion about that later. But this one, you're gonna choose a depository. I chose the Texas depository and I chose segregated storage. It was an extra $50 a year for me to have my own storage. It was all segregated. You could do non-segregated, which basically means your metals and your coins are gonna be mixed in with other people's, but that's totally fine. For $50 for me, I thought I invested enough that the extra protection to having my own separate segregated storage was the way I really wanted to go. Now, lastly, as I mentioned, I funded the transaction, but that's the last thing you have to do. After you do all of the aforementioned steps, you simply fund the transaction. For me, it was a wire transfer from my self-directed IRA all the way out to them, and bang, bang, all the process got done. So now I'm sitting here holding, at the time, 17% precious metals in my IRA. Feel very comfortable. They've only gone up since I purchased them, while the rest of my portfolio, not so much. I've had some equities go up, but the majority of them are overall losers and the portfolio value has gone down. So I'm seeing it happen in real time, you guys. If you're nearing retirement and you are worrying about what ifs and a big collapse and a big correction, if you will, this could be something that you really want to get into. And again, 5 to 20%, go higher if you need to, go lower if you need to, whatever's comfortable. A lot of these brands do have minimums. I've got options that have different numbers they use to require investment minimums. So some start at $5,000, other at 25, some are 50. Again, go with the company that you are comfortable with, right? You don't have to use Goldco, because I did. Now, I did all my homework and I've been doing this for 10 years. I've talked to every company out there, both by email, on the phone, on chat. I've looked them up. I've gone over their Trustpilot. Every single thing you can look for online. I've looked at the awards, the accolades. I've interacted with some of the CEOs. Goldco to me is the one that hands down is the most trustworthy, and I've developed a relationship with them that is incredible. They're so responsive, and I couldn't recommend them more. In closing, should you open a precious metals IRA? I did. Not financial advice. Not telling you what to do. I opened one because it makes me sleep better at night, knowing that my assets are protected, knowing that a portion of my retirement is in gold and silver, which can counteract what can happen in the rest of the market. I sleep better, I feel better. I just think that it's the smart move, because in 2008, I lost over 70% of my wealth with that correction. My real estate portfolio sunk. I was over leveraged on a couple properties, never really had the coin to put it back in and keep it going. My equities portfolio totally tanked. In fact, I had a financial advisor tell me a stock that I had that was up. I put $25,000 into it. It was up to $75,000. I said, we should sell. She said, no, we think it's got more legs. We think it's got 30% more. So we let it go. Well, 4 months later, they're out of business and I got zero. So lesson to be learned. If I would have taken that money out and put it in precious metals at the time, that could have doubled and tripled. So again, we're looking at 75K going to either 150 or 225. I was left with zero. So let that be a precautionary tale and why I invested in precious metals. I'll see you in the next video. This is Tim with Investing in Gold. Thanks for listening.